the period, showing that 6 out of 1,000 persons are choosing to get married. Now, with homosexuality also on the rise, it might not come off surprising to you. In 2018 alone, divorce rates were found to be just over 20%. That is to say that 1 in every 5 married couples are getting divorced. Now, that's a clear indication of what is happening. Now, it's important that we look at society's contribution to these statistics, because gone are the days when a man believes he can be satisfied with one woman. In the words of Beanie Man, self-proclaimed king of dancehall, man for have enough gal and gal in a bungle. Right? The music that is so pervasive in our culture has created a distorted view of what or who a man is supposed to be. So as teenagers listening to these lyrics coupled with peer pressure, they are conditioned into believing that it's a ridiculous idea to be satisfied with one woman for the rest of your life. Beanie Man goes on to say, the one burner business now work again, one man for have all 50 girlfriends. So, and with the theme of keeping the marriage fire burning, it's not going to help a young man who has all burners blazing, because by the time he reaches marriage, gas done. He has nothing to sustain it. And so the idea, we have to look at also the idea of love in a relationship, because this too has become a thing of the past. Many people who enter relationships aren't really interested in getting to know the other person. It's really just about the sex. We're told to leave intimacy alone. Sample as much as you can for now, and then later down, if you want to settle down, you can settle down. People nowadays have the mentality that I don't want anything long-term right now. I'm just after one and move. I've heard some of my colleagues say, it don't make any sense you love a girl because at the end of the day, you just have to get born. And as the saying goes, there are 2 things that are certain in life. Death and born. Right? Fortunately for me, I've been able to avoid both these things so far. And I know that if the Lord delays his coming, at least one of them is certain, and it's not born. I rebuke that. So we have to look at what message is being propagated in society. They're saying that it don't make any sense that you get emotionally invested in a relationship. Alkaline says, yo, me no know what them do to my heart. Can't love nobody. Sorry if I sound dark. Me just a live. Me just a walk. It's something, just I go through it, something spark. So the title of that song is really Black Heart. So the emphasis is that he cannot love anyone because of, I guess, his experience. And these are the philosophies that teenagers and young adults are exposed to on a regular basis. And when you hear about how they talk about females, it's really distasteful, because there are things going around now where they say "girl a demon" and all sort of something. So it's really gone bad. And I apologize if it sounds raw, but this is how it is said in society, and these are some of the things that we are hearing. And I don't want us to walk away believing that men are the sole cause of dysfunctional relationships, because women have contributed to it as well. Just a little. Well, we'll see. In a recent song by Ariana Grande that's popular on the airwaves, she sends a message that you should break up with your girlfriend because she's bored. And that has been echoed in our society when you think about how Ladasha Francis, most of you might not be familiar with the name, but she's also known as Mackerel, has gained popularity by posting videos talking about how a regular should take people man, because people man nice and comfortable. So you have females who are actively out there destroying relationships on a whim that they're just looking for a challenge. This idea of wifey and matey, where women are okay being the one on the side who gets the servicing, the sex and the money, but none of the responsibilities has become widely acceptable. It is a glorified form of prostitution, and it makes you wonder, how did we get here? It all goes back to the family structure. There's a reason why the God-ordained concept of a family begins with one man and one woman united in marriage. Because when a child is born into the world, their first example of a relationship is through the observation and interaction with the family unit. When a child grows up seeing mommy and daddy in a loving marriage, they start to develop a positive outlook on relationships, one that patterns what they have been exposed to. Unfortunately, many children grow up in single-parent homes, and 45% of which are matrifocal. So a child might grow up seeing mommy being intimate with several men over a period of their childhood, and they come to accept this as the nature of their relationships. A daughter will come to recognize that when a man comes to visit, there's more food and money in the house. And so relationships are just transactions. You put out in order to receive. Sons who grow up without a steady male figure in their lives will possibly come to realize that a man doesn't have to stick around or be loyal to a woman. As long as he has money, a woman will put up with anything, even infidelity. And so we have to acknowledge that the structure of the family is crucial to how children perceive future relationships. Parents, you have a responsibility to set the right foundation for your children. Proverbs 22 verse 6 instructs the parents that they should train up a child in the way he should go, that when he is old, he will not depart from it. We have to admit that the youth need guidance. They are given these desires at an age where they don't have any experience to deal with them. Right now, you have children having children, and it's not cute. Everybody wants to have a baby like it's the latest smartphone, and they're destroying their lives. People think that, teenage pregnancy nowadays has become a fashion. And we live in a society that praises single mothers, but it's really an indictment on the fathers who refuse to take responsibility for their actions. And because promiscuity has increased, a man does not know if he's really the father. In fact, up to last month, the Star published that 70% of those who took a paternity test found out that they were not the father of the child under question. And nowadays, a man now go water a seed with him sow. So this gives rise to the issue of fatherlessness in Jamaica. Daughters who grow up not having fathers, to show them what love is and how a man is supposed to treat a woman. And so they go out in search of love from the wrong people and in the wrong places. And because young girls lead with their hearts and not their heads, they will listen to the words of a man. If a man knows how to say the right words, it's easy to get a young girl in bed. And when their hearts get broken now, you hear that men are lying, cheating dogs. Ladies, we have to be careful because over time you begin to develop insecurities. And when the right man comes your way, you turn him away because of your bad experiences in the past. I think I've adequately answered the question, how did we get here? So I want us to look at some of the principles that we can implement so that we can enjoy healthy, functional relationships. Now, the first principle for a healthy, sustainable relationship is to commit to the teachings of the Bible. Psalm 119 verses 9 to 11 says, "How can a young man keep his ways pure? By guarding it in accordance with your word. With my whole heart I seek you. Let me not wander from your commandments. I have stored up your word in my heart that I might not sin against you." And here's the thing. Relationships should draw you closer to Christ, not closer to sin. Whenever you desire to go into a relationship, you have to ask yourself the question, am I pursuing them for godly reasons? Of course, you are attracted to them, and because they might be a beautiful woman or a handsome man, but bear in mind that looks aren't everything. Proverbs 31:30 says, "Charm is deceitful and beauty fades, but a woman who fears the Lord will be praised." So what kind of woman are you seeking? Is it a godly woman? If so, there are some things that you need to take into consideration. Has she given over her life to God? Does she allow you to lead? Is she submissive? Is she seeking to be a virtuous woman? Is she pressuring you to have sex with her? Is she contentious? Is she clean, or is the house always messy? Now, you might think that this is not so important, but if it is that you should marry this person, that's going to become your house. So these are some of the things that we need to consider when looking for a godly woman. What about a godly man? No, I don't have that there, but that is definitely important. Is he growing into a man, or is he immature? Does he want to be a leader? Because a husband one day is going to be a spiritual leader for you wives. Is he seeking to bring you towards Christ? Is he hardworking? Does he handle money well? Does he have a healthy prayer life? Does he seek to take care of purity, women? How does he treat others? Is he violent? These are some of the things that you need to consider. And I can guarantee you that by following God's ways, you save yourself a lot of heartache and pain of being used and cheated on by people who never had any intentions of loving you in the first place. In committing to the teachings of the Bible, you will learn to seek first in prayer. Most times what we want for ourselves is someone who can satisfy our fleshly desires. But the person that God has for you is someone who will nurture your spirit. Begin your search by going on your knees before God. The next thing is that you learn to trust God's will and timing in your life. In that time, you will see many opportunities to enter a relationship, but it's important that you pray for discernment. If God says no, it doesn't matter if the person looks like a perfect match. Listen to God. You learn to appreciate your singleness. And being single until the right person comes along is an opportunity for you to love yourself without the need to feel validated by someone else. Hopefully, you will come to acknowledge that your happiness is not dependent on having a partner. The second principle that we should keep in mind when dating is that sexual intimacy should be reserved until marriage. Let us first dispel the notion that love is equal to sex, because love is not equivalent to sex. And a woman can give her body to a man because she loves him, but that does not necessarily mean that the man will love her in return. Let's be frank, sex does not keep a man. And it's even worse than that, because people think that having a child for a man will keep a man. That does not work. I'm not sure if that ever did work, but this is what people, or well, women, unfortunately believe. And so you don't realize that having a child outside of wedlock, when you do that, it's less likely for a man to come along who is willing to take care of you and the child. Because let's be real, people in Jamaican society not even taking care of their own children. So why is it that a man is going to come and see you with a child and want to take care of you and the child? And you might say, well, that's not a real man, because a real man takes care of responsibility that he did not have any part in, and so on and so on. Well, I'm not going to argue who is a real man and who is a fake man. I just want to know which reality you live in, because that's not the case, right? And talking to the young men now about sexual intimacy, you need to practice keeping your pants up. And every girl will give forward, or every frock tail will lift up, you must run under, right? And when I speak casually to women, I always hear them say they want a man with experience. And so as a man, you feel like you have to go out there and get experience, right? And I have a friend. Just share a short story. I have a friend who had this girlfriend. He went to her house one day. He and her were alone. And of course, things got heated. He realized that was probably the first time he did not have a condom with him. So him say, well, things get heated. I'm going to take a chance this one time. So he did. And a couple of days later, I don't know why he's telling me this, he said he noticed that he had a strange discharge. And he was very concerned, right? So he went to the clinic, found out that it was a bacterial infection, luckily, because if it was a virus, that doesn't leave the system. And then worse, he thought it was HIV. And he's telling me now, say, you as a young man who's involved in the church and thing, and say a whole heap of girl out there were probably after you, and you're a chemist and you're smart and you're good looking, handsome, no homo. No, yeah. Let's be real. Because based on the story, you can acknowledge that he's not a homosexual, right? So he's saying that there are a lot of girls out there probably after me, but it makes no sense you run after them and involve yourself in the sex thing, because I've been there and I tell you, my youth, worth it, because you don't know what them women there carry a road and thing. So it's good to have those persons around you who can encourage you, because the majority is saying that sex is something that you should go out there and explore because it's nice, right? And I'm not disputing that it might not be nice. I'm just saying. But you have that one person who can encourage you that you are on the right path. I've been on this road, and it's really not worth it. And we don't have a lot of those friends around us. And so that encouragement was really something that helped me to remain faithful to the call. Because, well, fortunately for me, you guys know my history, I've said it before. And someone commented that I was brave to say it. I was always reserved and somewhat of a coward. Up to now, I don't think I can bring myself to buy a condom, right? And I'm just putting that out there. But that fear has really helped me. Worse now, they're recording, and you just type in my name, I'm on YouTube. And then if it is that we continue our evangelism program, and the person who cashes me the condom realizes that I'm a speaker at the Church of God, that's going to bring disrepute on the church. And that is my greatest fear. So, luckily, because I'm such a coward, I have maintained this path of righteousness. And it's not really like I don't have the desire in our brethren. And you have to understand, because even Whitaker was saying that he never knew that I struggled with anything at all. So when you hear me talk, I'm surprised. So I'm saying, it's really a desire where sometimes I wish it was not like this. Sometimes I wish that I wasn't in this fishbowl. I wish I could just go around freely and do things and nobody nothing know, nobody nothing look to you and all sorts of things. But this is how God has set it up. And I'm really happy that this is the life He chose for me. Right? So, at the end of the day, we have to realize that as young people, sex was here before you were born. And it will be here long after you die. And some people die not having sex. And those people who died not having sex are not worried about it. Right? They're not worried about it. All right. So, as a young man, my charge to you is that you should control yourself. And I'm preaching to myself as well. Talking to the young women about sexual intimacy, you'll rarely hear a man say that he wants to settle down with an experienced woman. While society praises a man for being a gallus, there's no positive word to describe a woman who has multiple partners. And if your body count is about 10 persons, and 10 is really a generous number, and I hope you understand what I mean by body count. If not, I won't spell it out for you. Right? Your chances of getting married are really slim, unless you decide to keep that secret from your partner. And what is a relationship that is built on lies? Don't go around spreading your legs for a man because he talk to you nice. It make you feel butterflies in your stomach, and it make you feel lightheaded. In fact, science has shown that when you start to feel lightheaded, it's actually a sense leaving your body. So you really have to be wary of these things. when it comes to relationship. If a man gives you the impression that you don't love him because you don't give him sex, better you just walk away. A relationship built on sexual intimacy is not one that usually lasts. Wait until marriage. Do not give a boyfriend, a husband, privilege. The third and final principle I want to highlight is that you should guard each other's hearts. Don't get emotionally invested if you are not willing to commit. The scripture makes it very clear that God is big on covenants. And I believe that he's holding us accountable, talking to men, in how we treat our partners. A woman's heart is not something that you can just toy around with. You can't just show interest in a woman, begin to pursue her, and then while she starts to develop feelings, you pull back. Too many of us men are guilty of breaking women's hearts. And if you find that you're interested in a woman, pray diligently before you pursue her. Otherwise, declare your hand and leave her alone. 1 Peter 3 verse 7 gives the charge to husbands, but this is the mindset that all men should have as we prepare for marriage. It reads, husbands, in the same way, be considerate as you live with your wives, and treat them with respect as the weaker partner, and as heirs with you of the gracious gift of life, so that nothing will hinder your prayers. Women were put into our care to be nurtured and protected. So don't let society brand you as a gal clown for loving and respecting a woman. It is our responsibility to guard a woman's heart. Women, you also have a responsibility of guarding your own hearts. Stop falling in love with everyone that you see. I know that the biological clock is against you, but you save a lot of time by protecting yourself rather than trying to get over hurt and pain in a relationship that if the relationship doesn't work. In closing, brethren, as we seek to nurture loving and lasting godly relationships, let us make the effort to commit to the teachings of the Bible, to seek God in prayer before seeking a partner. Do not give into gratifying the desires of the flesh, but seek out someone who can nurture your spirit. Let us remember that sexual intimacy should be reserved until marriage. Saving yourself for your husband or your wife will create a bond that is likely to last a lifetime. And lastly, guard each other's hearts. God is watching how you treat your partner, and he's going to hold you accountable. It is my sincere hope that the messages today will spur you on to be more Christ-like, that when we make the transition into marriage, that husbands will love their wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for her, and that wives will submit to their husbands as unto Christ. Let the Spirit be among the people of God. Amen.